Happy, glorious Monday, everybody. What a gorgeous audience. And I don't say that to just any audience. Meet me later. So President Biden arrived in Ukraine early Monday morning. Not only were the Ukrainians surprised, but so was Joe. He was told by his handlers he was headed to Disney World. It was a surprise visit ahead of the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion. There he announced an additional $500 million in U.S. assistance. You know, I'm thinking it would have been great if Russia attacked East Palestine. Ouch. Because then they would get the money and the president would visit. Moving on. But this dominates headlines today, as it should, considering that's our tax dollars, right? And it's all about unity. That Joe wants to show everyone we're unified in the fight against Russia. But what about unity here? It's one thing Joe boasted would be his specialty, but every time he claims to heal, he just gleefully salts the wound like it's a terrified slug. Late last week, he hosted a screening of the movie Till about the 1955 lynching of 15-year-old Emmett Till in Mississippi. Now, obviously, that crime was horrifying, and it's an important story to tell. But here's the odd part. During that speech, Biden also said this.
You know, folks, lynching is pure terror. Lynch for simply being black, nothing more. With white crowds, white families gathered to celebrate the spectacle, taking pictures of the bodies and mailing them as postcards. Hard to believe, but that's what was done. And some people still want to do that.
Some people still want to do that. I guess so, but I think it's to politicians, not to black people. When they say like that, some uniter. So he's saying that white people gather to celebrate taking pictures of bodies, and some people still want to do that now. So in his mind, or what's left of it, lynching is alive and well. Well, way to turn down the temperature with gasoline and a blowtorch, you unifier. I gotta calm down. Deep breath. It's President's Day. So what evidence does he offer to support this claim? I mean, even Jussie Smollett brought a sandwich. Joe offers nothing. In his words, white crowds are still perpetuating violence against blacks. But moments later, he points to the death of Tyree Nichols.
So many black and brown family parents have to have that similar conversation with their children, worrying about whether they'll come home from a walk down the street or playing in the park or just driving a car like we saw Tyree Nichols just last month.
Now, we know Nichols wasn't the victim of a white mob, but 5 black police officers. And the last time I checked, they didn't identify as Caucasian. So if lynching is still alive and well, why not name some of these present-day lynchers? Is it Mitt Romney? Remember, Biden already said he would put blacks back in chains. And given that Joe was pals with Robert Byrd, a former KKK member who he eulogized after his death in 2010, maybe he should have some of these creeps on speed dial. Obviously, today, society finds lynching abhorrent and the guilty are convicted of murder. But the way Biden would have you believe it, not only do white people want to lynch blacks, it's a widespread problem. You know, like climate change or violence against trans Eskimos with dyslexia. I hear it's really tab. Deep down, Biden knows he's lying, but he's reading what's put in front of him without questioning a word. You have to hand it to the Dems for making him the nominee. They found the only person mindless enough to say garbage they themselves wouldn't have the balls to say if they sat in the Oval Office. And he never seems to realize that saying like this actually makes things a whole lot worse. Yet he claims he and the White House are working to improve race relations in this country. Yeah, and I bought those new binoculars because I'm a bird watcher. That's what I tell the cops. But the White House is in a weird place. You can't tout progress in race relations because that means you can't tout fear of Whitey. Oppression must be alive and well, or Whitey ain't so bad. Right, Joe?
I got involved in the civil rights movement as a public defender. I thought you could defeat hate because we passed the Civil Rights Act and so many other things. But I learned a lesson. Hate never goes away. It just hides under the rocks until it's given a little oxygen by lousy people.
Well, lucky for Joe, no one has ever accused him of getting too much oxygen. So is Joe the civil rights warrior he claims he was? I mean, he lied about being arrested at civil rights protests. He sponsored a crime bill that put millions of blacks behind bars. The most he's done for civil rights is get lost at an airport in South Africa. So that's his message on current race relations. Hey, it was bad way back when, but get this, it's still really bad and you're welcome. Seriously, if progressives are about race and it's still a racist world, then it's kind of got to be on them. But maybe it's just all about projecting fear. The fact is, the last couple of years haven't been great for our country, and so all Joe has to sell is fear. And with Joe in Ukraine, maybe we should be pretty scared. After all, in Joe's head, World War III could eliminate racism entirely. Period. Let's welcome tonight's guest. She's got more sense than a penny arcade. Former presidential candidate and Fox News contributor Tulsi Gabbard. He waterboards his lawn. Former CIA operative and author of the new book, Company Rules, Mike Baker. Like a torn ACL, he makes you weak in the knees. Former military intelligence analyst and Fox News contributor, Brett Velikowicz. And if you have an affliction, he'll be your addiction. Host of Dr. Drew After Dark, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Tulsi, does it bother you, by the way, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Pleasure to see you.
It's good to be here.
Does it bother you that Biden sold himself as a totally different thing that he turned out to be? I actually thought, well, you know, the worst thing that could happen, I mean, I actually think maybe he could be good for the country by being boring.
Yeah.
Right? And not like, like just not cost, and it turns out he's more of a divider than anybody we've had.
Completely the opposite, as you said, of what he promised the American people when he ran. And you know, that was one of the main reasons why I left the Democratic Party, is because of exactly those kinds of comments that he said. It represents what so much of the Democratic Party leadership was about, which is, hey, let's fuel and foment those flames of divisiveness. Let's tear people apart, because we know that when they are torn apart and they are angry and they are running around out of fear, then the stronger the party leaders are and the more money they can raise and advance their own political ambition, without any care for the long-term detrimental impacts in the country, without any care for what kind of president we need right now. We need someone who can heal these divides, who can bring us together, who can remind us the foundational principles of who we are as a country and where we can go together.
You know, you're a doctor, obviously. You claim to be one.
But more importantly, Greg,
Yes.
more importantly, I want to thank you for inviting me the night when we have these three military representatives here, and thank you for your service. They courageously served our country.
What about my service?
You're to all of us, but I was on a reality show where we pretended to be special operatives. And so,
You were.
and we
This
trained to be
is basically
special
a version, your way of plugging your next show.
It really isn't. It's just, I just kind of was odd that here I felt completely, like I'm underwhelming compared to...
What show is this? What are you going to be on?
It's on Fox Network. So.
Yeah, what's it called?
Special Ops.
Wait, did you? No, I want to ask you about it. What happened?
No, don't worry. No, please. No.
You started this.
I got sick. I
By
lasted
the way,
like a day.
your wife has texted me twice about dinner.
It looked like fun, though.
You're in trouble.
You should never have me back.
Do you know, what do you think about the psychological or even physiological impacts of this sort of thing on somebody's head? The constant dividing and...
It's horrible. Literally, I feel it in my gut when I hear it, because the reality is there are people who feel like this. The reality is different, but there are people who feel what he is putting a flame under.
Yeah.
And what we should be talking about is how we got here, our special history, and what we got to do to solve it, and not just inflame it constantly. It really, it gets in my chest and my guts. It hurts.
Yeah.
And they got to stop. We got to teach civics again. We got to teach about Reconstruction, which is the real violence that led to this moment.
Interesting. Is that a theory or a fact,
I'd say
Doctor?
it's a fact. You guys agree? I mean,
I don't know. I'm terrible with history. Oh, they're flooding. You guys don't know history either. Awesome. We'll go out. All right, Brett, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about this? You want to talk about Ukraine?
Let's talk about this.
Okay,
Why not?
go
Why
for
not?
it.
I've been thinking about it. And
Yeah.
I'm a dad now since the last time I saw you.
Oh,
so thank you.
I had nothing to do with it.
I'm an adult. I'm an adult. You have to listen to me now. Greg.
Yes,
You
yes.
have to listen to me now.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about this topic earlier, and I just think, like, I'm so happy Joe Biden is so focused on the most pressing issues today of society. I mean, apparently now we have a lynching epidemic
Yes.
we have to worry about from decades ago. You know, forget about the fentanyl crisis, forget about, war on the border or Chinese espionage all around us. To me, like, the way I see it is Joe Biden has become the great divider, right? He's no longer this unifier that everyone's been talking about for so long. And it's just sad for him to create this racial divide in our country right now that's not needed.
You know what happened? We got tricked into thinking the old guy was benign. Oh, he'll just get in there. What can he do? A patch on the back and he goes to play golf. It didn't dawn on us that he would be a vessel. Well, except I predicted it, but he was a vessel.
Right.
Well, I made some amazing predictions that have come true. Trust me, but don't trust me on the market. But anyway, I interrupted.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Thanks, Greg, for making my point, driving it home. Appreciate you.
I like the cut of this jib. I don't even know what that means, Mikey. How are you?
I'm good, man.
Excellent. Do you have anything you want to? Do you have a kid? Did you get a baby?
Yeah,
You
I got another,
show?
got another kid. We're co-parenting. People don't know that. I guess I just went out with it. But
That's the next.
and I heard the doc's got a show. Is that right? Did I misunderstand
where I
that?
train with special ops. Reality show.
He's already laughing and he doesn't know.
So I think
He's seen me. He knows who I am.
I think with Biden, the thing is, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth, right? And so,
Thank God that's not a problem with you.
no, exactly. We're pretty much sure we know what's going to happen here. But I think, thank you. But I think the bar is so low. At least I set the bar so low. Look, Biden won because he wasn't Trump. Right? He didn't win because he's a brilliant orator or he's smart or he's not a unifier. So you have to set the bar really low and understand that half that he says is just extemporaneous talk. This word extemporaneous, I looked
like
up today and I told my wife I was
You used it well.
I know, right? And so that's all I got to say about that.
Right, right. I mean, you have to understand, with talking to a specific audience, he has to maintain, a certain kind of tone and stuff like that. But when he's saying that there's a whole group of people out there that want to kill you, that can't be healthy for anybody. No matter what the circumstances, if you're at a movie premiere with a very serious topic or not, saying things like that helps nobody.
Well, it helps the party. It helps the Democratic Party because I think the oxygen for that party right now is divisiveness and hate, right? And the fear. And you mentioned that, right? I mean, but I think it's absolutely true.
As a progressive, Tulsi, Tulsi, I'd still say you're a progressive, right?
What does that even mean?
No, I think that if do you think that divisiveness is there because they know that if you would come together as a class, no matter the color, that would be the bigger threat,
It would be.
right?
It would be.
Yeah.
I think it's very revealing that they're not speaking to, you talked about the Tyree Nichols case. You talk about moms at home in inner cities who are scared for their kids who
Right.
leave and go to school, who are scared that their kids don't see any future beyond joining a gang and work in the corner.
Right.
If President Biden was serious about actually solving problems, those are the things that he'd be addressing.
Exactly. All right, we got to move on. Oh, man.
Here we go.
Oh, man.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.